I started about 3 seconds ago.
It's okay.
Sorry, it's only about 3 seconds off. It's not a big difference.
Okay, it's just gonna. It's okay. I'm editing this one.
It's just gonna fuck up our entire workflow. No, I'll stop. Do you want me to stop and start again?
No.
Okay, it's about 3 seconds out.
It's fine. It's
Editing
fine.
Ethan, it's about 3 seconds out. There you go. That should clip the audio now.
Editing Ethan is
clip the
currently
audio
sitting
more if
there
you'd like.
cursing, just going, why?
Hang on.
Why did I...
Ethan, it's gonna be about 3 seconds out. Here's me clipping the audio, but it's on purpose, so you can find it in the edit.
Oh, I feel like I'm at a shitty disco.
Yeah, where they're like reading out people's birthdays.
Yeah, it's like...
we're gonna have a request from
Karen today. Happy birthday, Karen. He's a big boy today. He's 33. Oh, yeah, big boy Karen. He's got big boy pants on now. Yes. Anyway, here's some Dead Mow 5.
That is the kind of thing they would say.
Yeah. I was listening
that
to
that was pretty solid.
Dead Mow 5. I can't actually tell how peach that is anymore due to my change of audio setup.
They would genuinely say like Dead Mow 5 or something, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they would. They're so I don't know, they're a special breed, aren't they, party DJs, I feel.
Yeah, it's like unless you're asking I find they wouldn't have any Dead Mows.
I find them quite troubling. You know, slightly
like frightening, like a clown.
There's something slightly disturbing about them.
Is it the audio clipping?
No, it's not. It's just kind of...
Is it the sense that maybe they can't stop?
No, maybe. It's just, I don't know, they're slightly... This is going to sound really mean, but it's just kind of tragic, aren't they?
Like they're trapped. Just wishing people happy birthday and
I don't know. It's like,
congratulations to Sandra and John on their remarriage.
I feel like no one starts out in life going, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to spend every Saturday evening, in an old working man's club or like the local village hall that's like smells of damp and cigarettes and beer soaked carpets. And I'm going to play a load of tunes on some clapped out old speakers with some shitty flashing lights. And
there's something about the tunes they have to play too. Of like, how many times can you listen to YMCA before it starts slowly whittling away at your sanity? Or can
you imagine what's going on inside their skulls? Like when you think when they lie down, what do they have to listen to stop listening to YMCA and
like how many times can you spin the Venga Boys and stuff like that? It's
how many times can you shuffle to the left Shabba?
How many weddings must you have to do before you get sick of just the two of us?
I don't know, but all I know, Kieran, is it's fun to stay at the YMCA.
It is, and oh Christ, what's the other Village People song I was thinking of?
I don't know.
Oh, I mean, if it was me, I would just go off and join the Navy.
Oh, would you?
Yeah, I would.
In the Navy, you can sail the 7 seas.
Yeah, you can meet your fellow man.
Yeah. Here we go again.
I think I would. If I had to listen to... I'm trying to think of like a staple. If I had to listen to the Cha-Cha Slide more than once a year...
Yeah,
I genuinely think I would snap. I would lose my grip on reality. I genuinely it's one of those songs that you like it when you listen to it once a year. But if I was listening to that week in, week out, my touch with like reality would just evaporate.
I think if you're a party DJ, email into us at recycling-bin@scrambledchecksum.com.
I'm genuinely really interested to know, like, because you're there listening to them, right? At high volume. How do you cope?
Do you know what I mean, though? Like, it's kind of harrowing to think about. Like, I feel it's just, I don't know. It just, when I think about someone being that person, or like the environments where they go and do these DJ sets, it just fills me with existential angst.
It's a very shallow pool of songs too. So like,
yeah,
there's only so many you can play, and then I have to feel like if you listen to them again and again and again, like there are certain songs that I don't mind when I listen to in that environment, but I have to feel like if I listen to them, you know, time and time and time and time again, you know, how many times could you hear Blue Dabba Dee?
Oh, God.
Before it broke you?
I think the one more than the amount of times I've already heard it in my life, I think.
That's the thing. If you were playing that every week and you knew that you had to play it,
it is.
That's the curse. You know you have to play it. People want it because they haven't heard it yet that year. Yet you've got to play it.
I feel like they don't, though. Like, well, not always. Like, the last time I went to somewhere that had a DJ was a friend's wedding. And they obviously had a list of like, or like the genre they've been given. So my friend is like, and his other half are like big metalheads.
That's different in that case.
So but that's the ridiculous thing. So they'd specifically asked for all this stuff, and then they just got to this moment in the evening. I think it was probably like 10:30, 11, and he'd been playing like non-stop, just like great, in my opinion, great stuff, like rock and metal and stuff. Like it was really good, and then he just started playing some of the classic like disco DJ shitty stuff, and the dance floor just absolutely cleared. Like everybody left, and he carried on for like 10 minutes, and I was just stood at the back just going like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, how is he not getting the message? Like, and eventually my mate who's getting married's dad we were talking to him, and he was like, do you want me to go and talk to him? And we were like, yeah, go on, because he's one of those people who just doesn't take any shit. So he just went up and went, mate, read the room, basically.
Wow. Did he change the music?
He did, yeah. He went back to, the stuff where people were actually on the dance floor and enjoying it. It's like, I don't understand like what was going through his mind. Like, where he just went, maybe it's just like a compulsion. It's like, I can't
muscle memory.
I can't DJ a wedding without playing all this awful garbage.
It's like, when someone's addicted to something and they can't help but like ingest it, but even when they don't want to.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to play these records, but I have to.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of things that people don't want to do, but they have to.
Let's record this episode.
Hello and welcome to the Scrambled Checksum podcast. My name is Ethan, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend Kieran, who I've just surprised into the intro for this podcast, having made a split-second decision that I probably want to include that entire conversation pre the intro roll, because I thought it was actually quite interesting. But I might not. I might have cut it out, in which case, well, good luck, Ethan, editing this one. That's future Ethan's problem. Kieran, how the devil are you?
Sorry, that was my sync clap that we didn't do.
Yeah, just for good luck.
I have to do it as tradition.
Speaking of compulsions.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to do it, but I have to. I am very good, thank you. I am excited to be here. And I kind of want to I say I'm excited to be here, and I'm kind of thinking I want to be like a cheesy like wedding dance floor.
Do you really? I really don't. I feel like that's...
I'm remembering the last time we were at one of those and seeing the group of people close off in front of us.
Yes, we truly were the outsiders there.
Truly shunned. I think it's because we spent the entire evening talking about our podcast.
Yeah, to no one.
We were joking about doing that.
Yeah, I think we spent a fair amount of the evening trying to figure out how to play croquet, and then another part of the evening playing massive Jenga.
Attempting to play massive Jenga, which then got ruined when we were told that we needed to get on the dance floor.
Yeah, we were told we had to go on the dance floor by one of the bridesmaids.
Our Jenga was kicked over.
Yeah, like viciously, I might add.
Yeah, ruined.
Yeah, destroyed. And then we went on the dance floor, and no one else was there. And then when everyone else joined, like you say, they all formed a ring with us outside of it, and just kind of
closed ranks.
Yeah, we truly are out
in the middle of some fucking Oasis song, I think it was too.
Which, to be fair, I didn't really want to get involved in anyway.
No, I have no desire to be associated with Oasis, and I assume you don't either.
No, they're not my Wonderwall.
Hey,
I don't even know what a Wonderwall is.
I was going to say
a shit song.
I guess they should stop crying their heart out.
Is that an Oasis song?
It is. I think. I'm pretty sure. I remember it being on a lot, and it sounds like them.
You know what? I think the most important thing, though, Kieran, is to just don't look back in anger at those events.
You beat me to it on that one. Damn it.
This is So welcome
anyway, we
to
should
this.
definitely maybe get into the topics.
Yeah. Welcome to this allegedly tech podcast, where so far all we've done is talk about shit music for about 15 minutes solid. But
we do have tech topics.
Somehow, this first one that you've put on here has completely passed me by, but it sounds like the kind of thing that I'd be quite an avid kind of I'd find quite interesting. So, Kieran, enlighten me. What the fuck have Apple done this time?
Well, you say it's what have Apple done. It's actually Apple have not done anything that I think you would disagree with. So the scenario is, here in the UK, the government have once again made efforts to rail against end-to-end encryption. And
fantastic.
I have a personal connection to this because way back, probably, God, what would it have been? Probably 14 years ago, maybe longer, I emailed my local MP at the time. This was when they were looking at putting in regulations on encryption against AES.
Where they wanted to have a back door.
Yeah. And I actually emailed my local MP and said, I'm a young voter. This kind of thing really is important to me, and I don't think you really understand what you're voting on, and I don't think you really understand what you're trying to do. And he did actually get a reply that was quite thoughtful. But then I sent a follow-up email. I probably, in hindsight, I'm not going to be, completely like, oh, they were shit. I did actually, get a fairly eloquent response, and then I went a bit too probably overly technical in my reply back, and then I never heard anything again. But I was basically like, look, I don't think you understand this. You're saying it's all a national security thing, but this is used by banks, and if you guys want a backdoor, you're just going to make the UK into one massive honeypot. And
but
it's
equally,
a idea.
how can you have it's not a UK specific standard.
Yeah, exactly. And it's either you put in a backdoor and you make the UK a massive target for any bad actor because there's a backdoor that you can exploit, or you just push tech out of the UK. So anyway, I sent an email about that. It didn't go anywhere, I don't think, in the end.
No, but there has been a on and off kind of
it's rumbling, right?
Yeah, it's been rumbling for a long old time. It raises its head occasionally.
Because normally someone will do something terrible,
court case, or there's been the whole thing about the child protection angle of providing ID for accessing certain content online and all this stuff. And
it's normally it's unfortunate because something terrible will happen. And it'll be well, if we could just have broken their encryption and, use that to track where they are, then we could have found them faster. And it's in this instance.
Yeah. But
yes,
but if we could just know when everyone is on the toilet every single time, then we might have known that these bad actors were going to do this bad thing. I was going to use a specific example, and then I remembered YouTube censorship.
Yes,
so I'm not going to say.
But it's
certain events that may have been bad and explosive in our nation's capital on that one time, and that other time as well.
Yeah, and it's it's a heavy price to pay. And I don't like the kind of equivalency that they give it of we can tap phones and stuff like that. It's a very different.
Also, that's shit too.
Yeah, there was never any kind of scrutiny about that, but it's just that the technology wasn't there where they could make that fully encrypted. Anyway,
side note: did you know that during World War II, Winston Churchill actually had Well, it wasn't exactly encryption, but they did have a secure line for Winston Churchill to speak to. And I'm going to show my complete ignorance of history here. Whoever the US president was at the time, I want to say, was it Eisenhower? I don't know. Anyway, whoever it was,
the president at the time.
The president at the time, where basically,
I believe it was FDR.
Probably someone.
Franklin Roosevelt.
It was some dude. Anyway, that it was definitely some dude. That's one thing we can say with all confidence.
Exactly.
But anyway, they basically what they did is they had two identical vinyls on both sides, and basically that would play and be transmitted with the phone call. And then so the vinyls would have to be started at exactly the same time on both sides, and they'd use it to cancel. They could then cancel out that from the analog sound signal, so that basically anyone who was trying to listen in on the conversation wouldn't be able to actually hear what they were saying, because it would be they'd have all this static basically played with it.
That was super cool.
Yeah, but it was basically noise cancelling, but analog with literal vinyl.
That's amazing.
I know. Yeah, pretty cool.
That's so ingenious.
Yeah. So, but anyway,
we might have to go back to that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So yeah. So how are Apple involved? What's the latest then?
So Apple we're again. It's frustrating to me to see us doing this, but the UK are basically again bringing up the thing of encryption. They've demanded a backdoor in end-to-end encryption, and their target for this was Apple. And they basically said, look, we need a backdoor in end-to-end encrypted files that are stored on iCloud.
Right.
And Apple basically said that's a phenomenally bad idea. We don't agree with it. And from what I understand, we didn't back down. So rather than put a backdoor into their end-to-end encryption, they instead have disabled what they called advanced data protection, but was basically end-to-end encryption of like photos and documents that you uploaded to iCloud. So starting from today at 3:00, new users can't turn the setting on. And eventually everyone in the UK that has turned the setting on will have it disabled.
Right.
So your files will still be, from what I understand, the files will still be encrypted on iCloud, but it won't be end-to-end, and Apple will be able to decrypt them if requested.
Right.
So they've basically gone from you being able to have end-to-end encrypted files stored on iCloud in the UK, as a UK user, I don't know where they're actually stored, which Apple can't encrypt even if they it can't decrypt even if they get asked to now that setting will eventually be disabled if you already turned it on, or if you're a new user, you won't be able to turn it on. And Apple, if they are requested by law enforcement, will be able to decrypt your files. So that kind of sucks, right?
Yeah, just a little.
And it's worrying because obviously WhatsApp uses end-to-end encryption.
So
on messaging.
So this is literally, for now, this is literally just being targeted at iCloud Drive. For
now, it's just iCloud. Apple were kind of like the ones that got targeted by it. I don't know why specifically they were under so much pressure. But they were basically like, we've never introduced a backdoor, we never will. Our only option.
I guess they're the big.
They're kind of like, if you're a normie, they're like, oh, it's Apple. There was
and also I think Apple are like, I mean, I might be wrong. I don't think Google's ever made a big fuss about saying that they do that for.
No, I think Apple are probably like the main privacy advocates in big tech as well. Because like Facebook don't give a crap. Google, I've never heard them say anything's end-to-end encrypted. So I assume that if you wanted someone's Gmail account, they would just hand it over if they asked for it.
Yeah.
If you wanted someone's Facebook messages, they would hand it over. But
I mean, yeah.
I think if it was iCloud and like an iPhone, they would not. So I guess that explains why they were under the pressure. And yeah, they've basically, I mean, there was talk when they first got pressured into it that they might disable iCloud access in the UK.
They'd basically be...
It was overly dramatic, I think that was. It was like a kind of clickbait take, would be that they were going to do that. I don't think realistically they ever would.
Threat. Fucking empty threat. Because then they basically have to stop selling iPhones. Because I mean,
exactly. They wouldn't do that. What are they going to do? So like, I'll store them in Google Drive. But yeah, it sucks because it seemed like that advanced data protection feature was a really good privacy measure.
Also, they were never going to do that, really. Like, it's an empty threat because, like, just look at China.
Yeah, exactly.
They really wanted to break into the Chinese market. The Chinese government were like, right, well, okay, well, you'll have to host all your data in one of our data centers that we can do whatever the fuck we want with. Apple are like, okay then.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was weird because back then Google were like, no, we're going to pull out. We're not going to do that. But yeah.
But doesn't Google have Google has an alternative search engine, I believe, doesn't it, in China?
Yeah, based in Taiwan.
Yeah. So Google itself
is not
they own a search engine that is exclusive to China, and I assume Taiwan if it operates.
But it's not super popular.
Okay.
But yeah, that was really disappointing. I was quite disillusioned by that decision. Not from Apple's part. I think they did what they had to do. But it just kind of sucks because that feature sounds like it was a good privacy feature, and for the sake of not being able to have a government backdoor, we've removed it.
Well,
my only hope is that Apple, when they say they're going to remove it from people that have turned it on, are going to drag their heels on that massively and take ages. And I would wholeheartedly support them in taking as long as possible to draw out that removing process, because they've not put a timeline on that. As of today, about 6 hours ago, as we're recording this on the 21st of Feb, you can't turn it on if you haven't already. But if you've already enabled it, they say they will eventually remove it, but there's no timeline. So I really hope they just take forever to do that.
Yeah.
Because while they haven't done that, they can't comply with any kind of like handing over of data because they have no way of decrypting that data.
Here's my, I guess this is kind of like a devil's advocate sort of take, but also my kind of, I'm going to carry on beating the same old dead horse. This is why you shouldn't trust corporations with your data, basically, because even if that corporation itself has the best of intentions, which, just in case it's not abundantly clear, I do not believe Apple has, but even if that corporation itself or organization or whatever has the best of intentions and doesn't ever want to break privacy rules, etc., that doesn't mean that they're like, a government isn't going to strong arm them into basically having to betray your trust, basically, or invade your privacy, basically.
Which they're kind of doing, right? Because it sucks because they're turning off a feature that you used to be able to use. And you have no control over that. They're just
exactly, yeah. If you're not in control of where you're storing the stuff, like you're not in control. Like, yeah, you have to. At a certain point, at a certain point you have to draw a line and go, right, this is the line where I'm willing to trust them. Like, it's the same. It's the same as anything. Like, you put money in a bank, you're trusting the bank to not collapse. You store, I don't know, you store some valuables in a storage locker. You're trusting that company is properly maintaining its security and fire safety and all that stuff, and it's not going to burn down and lose all your stuff. Like, unless you're actually in control of it, like physically, this kind of shit is going to is what you kind of leave yourself open to, and it sucks because I think, right, in this digital age, you kind of we're not in a place where it's like a feasible option for the vast majority of people to self-host the services that they're being provided by the likes of Apple through iCloud. So like your iCloud Drive, your iMessages, and all that stuff. We're not in a place where it's feasible for your average Joe to have that self-hosted.
What sucks is that nothing's permanent either, right? So like you could buy in at a point where it's really privacy centric, like before this was announced, and you'd be like, oh well, I'm good. Like this feature exists and it's really helpful to me, and then now that's just been, it could be retroactively taken away from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've and then it just creates a big headache for you because you've now got to either accept that and persist with what you've already got, or what would you do if you had all your files in iCloud and you were kind of relying on that? Would you wait for them to say like, oh, it's been disabled, on the off chance that they can like spin this out for long enough that they never get forced to do it, or would you just be moving ASAP? Because like Apple clearly don't want to disable it. Like they're, I assume, going to take as long as they can.
I mean, it's been a big part of their kind of their brand images, but they've really gone in hard, haven't they, with the privacy thing? That's basically been their key selling point for the last like 5 years at least, hasn't it? So
and I think by and large, unless I'm mistaken, they've kind of put their money where their mouth is with that, with like,
for the most part,
not unlocking devices, not kind of compromising on security.
Yeah, I think that I know that we might have even talked about it on the podcast in a previous episode, but I definitely remember there being some bullshit like double standarding.
The app tracking is kind of a bit bollocks.
That was it. Like, yeah, that was it. Yeah, the app
Facebook
tracking.
Facebook and Google can't track you, but we can.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're not they're not perfect, but in this instance where it's like security of your files that are on their servers, and it's like compared
to Google.
Oh, Google, like,
which is like Android. That's basically the only viable alternative.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's quite a fucking low bar if we're being honest.
You can't imagine Google being like, "Oh, your files in Drive, we're not going to like." You can 100% imagine if anyone said, "Oh, can you send us these files from someone's Google Drive?" They're going to comply with that 100%, right? They're not going to be like, "Oh no."
Yeah. No, totally.
That's like, that's just Google. I would be pleasantly surprised if they're not using my files in Google Drive to train Gemini. that would be like a pleasant surprise for me. I know they say they don't if it's private, but like I'll just be happy if in the next 5 years it doesn't come out that they were using everyone's like Google Drive files regardless of privacy settings. Oh, oops, sorry, we just realized due to an issue. Well, no, it's already trained the model, so
I don't actually even know what's in my Google Drive. I did clear everything out of it.
God knows what the TOS says. The TOS probably says they won't, but you can just imagine, can't you? Oh, due to a small oversight, we accidentally used a small number of Google Drive files in our training data.
I've got a fuck ton of backups of my call logs for when I migrate phone, because it didn't used to support moving SMS. You didn't used to be able to back up SMS and call logs to your Google account from Android for some stupid fucking reason, but you can now. So I used
that'll
to
be
use
in Gemini's training data. You can probably go ahead and ask a question like that. And,
but
that sounds like Google, right? They will probably say like, "Oh, sorry guys, a small amount of data, like no clarification of how much, a small amount of data from our Google accounts got used. We're taking this very seriously," and then it's just already in the model, so whatever.
Yeah, my Google Drive's just full of. I think it's mostly just like email attachments. Actually, I've never really actually used Google Drive. I used to use the free photo backup.
Yes, until you run out.
Until I think they stopped doing that though now.
You've got a certain amount for free because I still use it.
Yeah, but it used to be unlimited photo backup.
Yeah, now it's 15
but compressed.
Gig.
Yeah.
Now it's 15 gig.
I remember when it used to be when the Google Pixel first came out. It used to be if you had a Google Pixel, you got full quality photo backup unlimited, which
I remember seeing the email from them that said they were retiring that. Actually, now that you mentioned
yes, they have retired it before I ever got a Google Pixel. So
yeah, I don't think even if you had a Pixel, I don't think they grandfathered you in. I think they still
no. Oh, they might have done, to be fair, because the early Pixels were fucking unreliable as shit. So I doubt there's many people rocking a first gen Pixel.
Well, I think they grandfathered in the sense that whatever you already uploaded was fine, but I think if you were over the limit, you were still over the limit and you had to get rid of stuff.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, here's a helpful tool to compress all your photos so you don't have what you originally thought you were getting.
I love a crunchy.
Oh, give me that crunchy JPEG.
Yeah, crunchy .webp.
Oh, I knew that I thought I was getting uncompressed, unlimited backups for life, but just give me that crunchy. Let me actually have to delete some photos even with that.
Yes. Oh, I just love the crunchy compression.
But yeah, what do you make of this Apple thing? I mean, I think Apple are.
I don't think they've done what they had to do. Basically, I don't think. I don't think you can necessarily say good guy Apple because they. No. I mean, they effectively they've not put a backdoor in there. They've not put a backdoor. I guess it's not. It would have been worse if they put a backdoor in whatever end-to-end encryption they're using. Yeah,
and you kind of have to say they're kind of.
At least
they're harming themselves because they're in the sense that people are going to switch away from iCloud as a result of this because they've said we will.
Okay, I don't think that many people will.
Yeah, not enough people to make an impact. So the question is, I think
people don't. The vast majority of people don't. It's not that they don't care; they just don't understand why they should care, and they haven't got the brain space to understand.
That's why I think this might be good. That's why I think this might even be good guy Apple, because it's they could probably the easiest option would be they just comply with it and don't say anything. Because most people don't care; they'll keep putting their files in iCloud. In fact, most people probably assume that they can already be read anyway and don't have that feature enabled. So I'd say probably the easiest thing for them to do would have just been to be yeah, whatever, we'll give you a backdoor. Most of our users don't give a crap.
Yeah.
So I think to me anyway, some props to them for not just doing.
I think they definitely did. They had a couple of shit options, and they've definitely picked the least shit option.
A not shit option, but it still kind of sucks because. Realistically, they could have probably forced it a bit more.
Yeah.
Maybe. They are Apple.
Yeah.
Maybe they could have pushed back a little bit harder. But I blame the... I'm kind of disappointed, really, because I thought we'd moved past that in the UK, this, encryption being just for, bad people.
It is like you say, it's a load of BS because you can't. I guess this kind of segues actually into another topic on here. So I think we've spoken about this before. But I don't think you do watch him, but I watch this guy on YouTube called Tech Alter. He's this German dude who does technology kind of video essays sort of
I've seen some of his videos.
He actually used to work for Oppo, I think.
No way, I didn't realize that.
For quite a long time, yeah. In Shenzhen in China, which is kind of the tech capital of China.
Yeah, have you ever watched Strange Parts?
Yes, I've watched.
Yeah, he was in Shenzhen for a bit. A bunch of videos there.
Yeah. So he anyway. Tech Alter released a video essay, a couple of video essays actually this week. One talking about Shenzhen and kind of he went back there recently and was talking about how much what's changed since he lived there over a decade ago, and just kind of talking about all the technology that they have there. And then he did another one talk that was kind of tangentially related, just about China's big push into battery manufacturing, and basically how they're basically by the end of this year, they'll have 6 times the capacity. The capacity they'll have for manufacturing will be 6 times the projected global battery demand for this year.
I know
so like
Tesla are a little bit worried about the EVs and the tech around that's coming out of China.
I think Tesla should be more worried about the fact that their fucking CEO is supporting someone who wants to get rid of fucking EVs. But anyway, we're not. Let's not get into that.
But their CEO should just fuck right off.
They should. Yeah, their CEO should just fuck off to Mars. Just get him to fuck. Does someone go? You know what, Elon? Yeah, we're gonna fund you. You will fund your fucking Mars rocket, and you can fucking go. Just never come back. Just fuck off.
Just take your fucking savings from your meme department and just fuck off.
Yeah, just fuck off. I can't even be asked to say anything.
Take that fucking what's it with you.
Yeah, that fucking cheesy wrinkly old what's it? Someone new bad stuffed down the back of your nan's sofa.
Anyway, after that catharsis, so Shenzhen.
Anyway, yeah. So basically, he did a video in Shenzhen, and he was talking about all the technology and stuff that they have there. They've got that's kind of like they basically got this surveillance. It is a surveillance state to an extreme, which is effectively, it feels like where a lot of countries are going. It's where I worry the UK is going. Like the wanting backdoors and encryption and stuff like that is the digital equivalent of having CCTV everywhere, basically, which is literally
which we already have anyway.
But we don't. You think we have it everywhere?
Well, we don't have like face detection and like.
Fucking look at Shenzhen.
Yeah, they have like
literally everywhere. Like literally, unless you're in the only place you're not on CCTV is in your own home, basically.
I mean, is that? How does it compare to like UK surveillance? Because I always think that we've got a lot of CCTV.
We're talking literally even public parks. It's literally
we have it in public parks,
but literally everywhere. Like you can't even hide. You can't even hide behind a tree without being on CCTV. Like it's
like how different though is that to ours? Just without the like. I know they've got the like tech connecting it all together, whereas ours are very much like. You know, you've got isolated cameras here and there, and some of the local council and some of private businesses and all that. But like, I don't know, do we have that much less CCTV? Like, I can't think of somewhere I've been that's any way urban where I can't look up and see a camera somewhere.
Is there CCTV on your street?
I guess not on my street, but like if I go into the nearest city, there's like CCTV, like I can walk around and I can see a CCTV camera pretty much constantly.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's a fair point.
Not as bad.
I don't think it's on the same level. It's literally at the point in there where they literally. So I guess a positive side of it, like they literally, he was walking around and he was like pointing out all these like they literally people just leave their like mopeds or scooters at the side of the road with the keys in them, and no one steals them. Because you just won't get away with it. Like people go on their like sole traders who like just like run their own shop. They'll go on a lunch break and leave the shop unlocked with the door wide open with just a note saying "gone for lunch," and like no one will steal anything. Like people, or like you go into an apartment block and there'll just be parcels literally just left in the unlocked atrium.
I think their like tech and their like state behind it is a lot more like frighteningly efficient than ours in the sense that like.
But like literally everyone in the country has to have an up-to-date face scan, so that like when you enter the country, you have to have your face scanned.
Yeah,
so
that's
literally track your every movement. They know where every single
ours
person
is missing. Because it's like we've got a lot of cameras, but they don't have the tech behind them to. Yeah. So I think that's where ours are less scary because it's like. That you're probably on camera, but you don't like. You could just put a balaclava on your face, right? And you could probably nick a bunch of Amazon parcels from the people on your street and probably never get caught. Don't do that, by the way. That's a shitty thing to do. But you could probably do that and get away with it.
Oh, you could definitely get away with it in the UK.
Yeah, but I think maybe in China, you'd be like, there'd be enough surveillance to kind of track that back to. It would all be kind of interconnected enough that you could probably be caught.
Oh, you definitely. Yeah, I think you definitely in Shenzhen at least. It's not as widespread outside, but in Shenzhen, you would. There's basically as close to a 100% chance that you'll get caught as you can get.
I imagine the same is the case in
they'll be able to
see.
They'll know who stole them, and they'll also know what you had for breakfast, and literally everything you've done that entire day, that entire week, like where you went afterwards, who you spoke to, everything. That is you are being tracked constantly.
It's like as soon as you put the bag on your head, you're tracked from like you coming out of your house. You've got nowhere to go to put that like bag on your head to even like hide yourself, right?
Yeah. So like, I mean, some people do like have these like scrambling things. It basically like projects like stuff onto their face. They have these like little portable projector things. It like projects things onto their face, or they wear like face masks and stuff to try and get around it. But like, I guess it raises a question though for me. Like, I think it's an interesting. I don't really know what the answer is, because privacy is important, in my opinion, but so is public safety, and that it's really difficult to draw the line, like where like what is a justified. I don't want to say invasion of privacy, because that kind of is too loaded, like too biased of a word. But what is a justified amount of information to be collecting on an individual citizen, or like movements of individuals within society?
To me, we've kind of like already hit the peak of that and gone past it.
Well, yeah, that's what I feel as well. But like, where actually is that line?
I think too much of the kind of strategy around using the surveillance is that it's easier than tackling the root cause, right? Like, if the root cause is that people are struggling and they can't make ends meet and they have to steal things to get by, and I appreciate it's not, 100% of cases. There'll always be people who are, doing that just because like, they don't have to, but they're just doing that because it's who they are. But I feel like too much has been put into the tech of like having the stick to beat you with, rather than addressing the root cause, which is why people feel the need to do the things that are wrong.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a lot easier to put a ton of money into tracking everyone and
I think
monitoring everyone.
Would you agree that the problem with the technology of tracking everyone is it's not that it can't be used for good necessarily, like catching a dangerous criminal who is on a killing spree or something. It's more that like, if the technology exists, that if there's a technology that's available to people to use, say for example, to track citizens down, even if it's only intended to be used for good, like just reasons, however you define that, there like someone will abuse it at some point.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the problem.
Where's the line there? If you can track the movements of everyone, and it's like, okay, someone's on a killing spree, then it's like most people will agree that do whatever you need in terms of tracking their phone, using the CCTV.
But if that technology is readily available, as in like you can literally just go, oh, citizen A will track them, like that, at a click of a button, then that means that pissed off Bob from the local council, who has access to this, who's got a bit of beef with Jim down the pub, who might have made some advances on his wife.
Yeah, exactly. It's always going to be abused.
Yeah, exactly. It will be abused, because that's just an unfortunate fact of humanity. So, and like, does the risk of that outweigh the positive, or like, even not even that? Like, for me, it's about being able to hold power accountable. Like, if governments are meant to serve the people, not the other way around, and if the people believe that the government is overstepping and they're not able to, like, a government, if a government this sounds like really over dramatic, but like it's the same thing as like the right to protest is really important in a democracy, because it's part of how the people can hold the government to account. If they, it's kind of like your first port of call is electing an official. The next port of call is actively participating and communicating with that official about issues that you believe are important. And if then en masse the groups of people feel that the government is not serving them, then they protest. And the right to protest is important because it's the last defense against an authoritarian dictatorship or a government doing something that is not in the interest of the people. So if you stop people being able to organize and protest, which invading their privacy is a risk of, if you've got an authoritarian or a dictator or even just a politician who's just shady and wants to shut this kind of stuff down, if they can just track anybody who they think might be involved in this and get them arrested for something like that's democracy collapsing.
It's a dangerous precedent.
That's why it's important. That's why privacy is important.
Yeah, and it's like what you said with the person who was, not happy with someone that they know down the pub. It's like the same thing in the sense of, like, say, so and so at the local council's infatuated with someone and they've spurned them. Then it's like, should they have the power to then track? It's just right for and it will be abused.
Yeah, exactly. If it can be abused, it will be abused. That is just, you just have to go by that, because it's just there is so much precedent for that being the case.
And it's hard because it's like it's difficult to say 100 people being harassed worth being able to track one person who's a massive threat. And to me, that's not a price we should pay. No, I don't. I agree. I think that's privacy is worth preserving. Yeah, I think in the short term, like the catching of this one hypothetical criminal, it seems like a positive. In the long term, the erosion of it sounds alarmist, but I feel like they. Like I don't think it actually is. Like it is about like the erosion. If citizens of a democratic state are not able to be independent and have kind of some kind of influence on the way that their country is run, when they don't agree with how their country is being run, then that's no longer a democracy, and that's no longer like it. Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to me. It's like just because you're not doing anything that you believe is unethical doesn't mean that the state agrees with you. I mean, just again, it's really hard not to get political when you're talking about things like this. Just look at what's happened, but let's look at what's happening in the US right now. Like, personally, I believe objectively there are a ton of people right now in the US, as an example, who privacy is very important to, because they like who they are is under attack by their own government. And their privacy is just getting completely ignored. Yeah. So they for them, like, they're not doing anything wrong, and if their government has access to a load of information about them that should be private,
their government can then come down on them for a so-called crime, even though it shouldn't be a crime.
No individual should have access to that data.
Yeah,
because it's private. It should be. Yeah,
just because you've got nothing to hide today.
Yeah,
something that's perfectly innocuous could be made illegal in a decade by an authoritarian government or a extremist government of some sort.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's we're not saying, there should be no surveillance anywhere. I don't think anyway, to me. But
no, not at all.
I think there shouldn't be that thing of anything that any way that we can use tech that could be used in a good way should therefore be immediately adopted because, it can be used for this good thing. But let's ignore all the hundreds of bad ways it can be used. So mass surveillance to me is not that the benefits it brings in terms of, it can prevent this crime is not a price worth paying if it means that all of your privacy is surrendered and anyone in future can decide that, what you're doing is wrong and just invade your privacy.
Yeah, it's bullshit. Let's move on.
Yeah.
So, that it's a shame. Learn how to self-post stuff. Don't go outside. Don't use the internet. Just become a hermit, really.
Just wear a balaclava all the time.
Yeah,
or address people on the internet through the medium of poorly drawn cartoon caricatures.
Yes, yeah. I mean,
that's the key, I think.
There's absolutely no way that anybody could identify who we are.
Absolutely not. I mean,
by listening to this podcast,
absolutely fuck off massive neck.
Yeah. So there's absolutely no way you could connect this podcast to living real people.
There's no way. No one would know.
But anyway, speaking of what we weren't just talking about.
Yeah. Speaking of nicer tech,
I have done a couple of mildly jank projects in the last couple of weeks. Let me share a photo with you, Kieran.
Is this private, or can I talk about what the contents of the photo is?
You can talk about the contents of the photo. I just need to make sure I have actually got a picture of it on my. Here we go. I'll try and remember to put this on screen as well on the YouTube version.
Well, don't feel pressured. I'll describe it in such great detail.
Right.
So there's a guy holding a pint. Oh, no, that's a previous video.
I know that's.
You showed me. Oh my god! Right. So there's a. What on earth? I thought it was a speaker stack for the start. So there's a PC case. It looks like a Dell. Is that a Dell PC case?
No.
Not a Dell PC case.
You need to view the image in close up.
Okay, let me look a bit closer. So there's a PC case. We've got a control on the top. Then we've got two fans duct taped to the front of it. I think they're Noctua fans.
They're not, no. But they're
not.
That is, in fact, duct tape. So, yeah, okay. So, basically, here's the story. My housemate, friend, etc., and podcast listener, Jason, recently purchased a 4K monitor for himself.
I can't believe that's not a Dell case.
No, it's not. I think it's CIT. It's like a basic, Amazon shitty case that my brother bought ages and ages ago for his first computer.
I thought for sure that was a Dell Optiplex.
No. It does look like one, though. I can understand why.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay, you can understand it.
In that it's a tower.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, he bought this 4K 60 hertz monitor. And unfortunately for him, his gaming, I was going to say shitty gaming laptop, but no, his gaming laptop of questionable quality couldn't drive it at 4K 60 hertz. It could only drive it at 4K 30 hertz, which is unfortunate to say the least. So I was like, I wonder whether, because I've recently upgraded my graphics card, I had my old GTX 1660 hanging around, and I also had my the parts that the rest of the parts that made up my old PC, and I mean my old PC, like old PC, lying around, and I was like, well, laptops don't have. I know that this CPU is shit, but his laptop has an 8th gen, 7th gen or 6th gen, I think, i5 or i7. No, it's an i5 because it's quad core and it's not even got hyperthreading. So I was kind of like, I wonder whether I know this old CPU is trash, but it's AMD FX 6350 for those interested. But I wonder whether it would be about on par with this much newer laptop processor, just because laptop processors are always lower power. So I said to Jace, oh, well, I've got this hardware hanging around, so we can cobble something together if you want. You can borrow it all. I'll put my GTX 1660 in there, which is like a massively more powerful card than you should ever put with this CPU, because it's just ridiculous, but it might be better than your current laptop. So long story short, we built it into that case, and put the graphics card in there, but the front panel is missing from that case because, well, I just ripped it off because it was shit and annoying, and I was mostly just using that case as a test bench. So in order to put some fans in there and actually have some positive airflow, we needed to actually seal off the front of the case, so I used duct tape.
Dude, that's a perfectly jank solution.
Yeah.
Also,
the fans are also held in with cable ties as well, because there's nothing to screw them into.
That's fine. I mean, they're slightly off-center bottom one.
That's the camera angle. It is actually. They are both kind of centered. Yeah.
One thing I will say is props to our dear listener, because they have those drawers that it stood on?
Yeah.
I had those exact drawers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I used to have them in my bathroom, and they unfortunately went moldy due to the high moisture environment.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, for context, they are just like a wood, like unvarnished wood. They're kind of just like stained wood.
Yeah, it's just pine.
Stained pine wood. Yeah.
I don't know if it's stained, like based on how mine went moldy. But yeah, that's uncanny. Like, I'm seeing that those were the exact drawers.
Yeah,
I got them a long time ago.
My mum gifted those to us. I don't know where she got them from, but
they were from like years ago.
Maybe they're the same.
They look identical.
That's uncanny. I think it's an IKEA. I think it's an IKEA.
I will believe that. It felt IKEA-y in how it rotted away. Rotted away back to Mother Earth. No, nothing. I'm going there myself tomorrow.
I'm surrounded by IKEA furniture in this room.
I've got out an IKEA desk as we speak.
Same here. I've got two IKEA desks, an IKEA bed, an IKEA bedside table, IKEA set of drawers over there, IKEA filing cabinet, IKEA chest of drawers over there, IKEA
I'm
shelf.
sitting on a lab. My PC is resting underneath a lag captain with the Alex drawers to my left. So
my PC's sat on an upturned storage basket from IKEA of some sort.
Well, there you go.
So yeah,
dude, this PC is quality. What's wrong with this build?
So we actually
how permanent's the duct tape? Is this until it breaks, or is this until
pretty permanent? Like basically, I've said to Jace that he can borrow it for as long as he needs. Because it's literally like I've got the graphics card. I do have an eventual use for. Because I want to use it as a GPU that I can pass through in a VM, so I can run a Linux VM on that has a discrete graphics on my server once I eventually migrate over to an actual server operating system as opposed to using Windows 11. But anyway, that's not going to happen for a little while. Basically he's going to slowly buy components to replace the ones he's borrowing off me, and then eventually he'll have his own PC that he's built.
There's nothing wrong with that PC, dude.
Yeah, but we ran some benchmarks on it. So the graphics is astronomically better than his laptop. His laptop had I think a 1050 mobile, GTX 1050 mobile, so quite a astronomically lower end card. And I think his laptops that we ran Cinebench as just to get a ballpark idea of how the CPU performed, and I think his laptop CPU slightly outperformed it on single threaded and was about the same on multi-threaded on Cinebench. And then just for fun at shits and gigs, I ran Cinebench on my PC and my server, and it shat over both of them, which made me feel very,
quite superior.
Quite superior, like really, really inflated my self-worth.
Helped your self-esteem quite heavily.
Yeah, because we all know the most important thing in life is PC benchmarks. That's what justifies your existence on this planet.
If your like Cinebench is higher than someone else's, God, they're just scum of the earth to you.
Yeah. What CPU are you rocking? Is it 5800X? Is that
Let me, because I actually can't remember. I am rocking a 5800X.
Ah, check me out. I remembered. And then you've got, let me see if I can remember what graphics card you've got.
God, you remember my spec better than I do.
I remember that because I think when you built it, I remember you consulting me on it. And I think I do remember telling you to get to probably go for a Ryzen 7. And I've got
I've got a Ryzen 7.
I've got the 3800X. So yours is the next gen on from the CPU that I've got, basically. And then I think, if I remember correctly, your graphics card is, I want to say it's a 3060.
Let me just check that. Actually, genuinely, dude, how do you remember my own graphics spec better than I do?
I might be wrong.
I've got a 3060.
Boom!
Dude, how do you remember my
32 gig of RAM, right? Or was it 64? Might have been
64 gig of RAM.
No, 64. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Have I just out nerded you?
You have big time, because I had to look up my own spec. I remembered it from when I was
care way too much about this stuff. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It just sticks in my head.
1 terabyte M.2 SSD.
Oh, 2 terabyte. Fire CUDA. Yeah.
Damn it.
And then a RAM shambles of 500 gig SATA SSDs.
I've got God, my SSD, my other hard drives are. I got 2 terabyte HDD.
I've got no spinning Rust in my desktop.
I got 2 terabytes of Rust. Then I got 500 gig of regular SSD, and then 300 gig of additional Rust.
I've got a 2 terabyte boot drive, via CUDA something or other, M.2 NVMe, and then I've got a 500 gig Samsung 850 Evo, 500 gig Western Digital Blue, and a 500 gig Crucial something or other.
Nice.
And then the rest of my storage is, I do have spinning Rust, it's just all in my server. So
you have your own server, of course.
Yeah, I don't think I've mentioned it before. So that's one thing that's old as gold. The other thing I did, so I've been
building a PC old as gold.
Yeah, it's basically like old components. So I'm super chuffed that it's working well for Jace, because it I even got Windows 11 running on it, even though it's not supported. Because Microsoft actually has a guide on how to get it running on unsupported hardware on their own actual website now.
Nice.
Written by Microsoft, because I think they were kind of going, oh fuck, Windows 11 adoption isn't quite going as well as we'd hoped. And Windows 10 is end of life in October this year. But
some of us are still in denial about that.
Yeah, I know. So it's got Windows 11 running on it, nice. And everything. Well, not nice, but he games, so fuck Windows. But it's a necessary evil, unfortunately, at the moment.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I'm chuffed that hardware is being used for something useful. It's just that makes me very happy. Rather than it just sitting around. Obviously, I've got that other laptop that's still going strong at my mum and dad's, so that they can access my Jellyfin. I've got another laptop that I've been tinkering around with, running Pi-hole on, and my final laptop, my old faithful MacBook, is now in the living room as our kind of media center PC, because it means that we can stream YouTube without ads because uBlock Origin.
Yeah, because ad block.
With the ad block, and also totally not watch Amazon Prime on the lowest tier without any adverts, because that totally doesn't work with ad block. Totally don't tell anybody, wink wink.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so, and that's working very well. I've installed Linux Mint on that. So I've got Pop OS on my actual laptop. I've got Linux Mint on the media center, and I've got Ubuntu on the one that my mum and dad's, and also on the one that I'm using for Pi-hole. So I've got a few different distros on the go, and before we came on, I was just briefly looking at OpenSUSE because a podcast I was watching recommended it recently, and I've never played around with it, so I might have a look at OpenSUSE. So European distro, Kieran.
Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah, I know.
God, like Mistral.
Yeah. What?
The LLM.
Oh, right. Okay.
The French one.
Ah, yes. Baguette.
Wow.
It's a trick. Yeah.
Just go ahead and we're probably go ahead and cut that part.
Yeah. Speaking of cutting things, it's time to cut the end of this episode because that's just what happens at the end of the episode.
That's how it works. That's the format.
That's how it works. So yeah, it's been a pleasure as always.
As always.
Thank you very much for listening. Oh, big shout out to Herbie if you are listening. Onto the next episode. Thank you for partaking in our podcast experience.
Big shout out to our future YouTube Shorts listeners, because we are filming.
We're totally going to film one tomorrow as of the date of recording.
This has to happen now. I'm holding us to account. Yeah,
it absolutely will. Definitely, probably, maybe happen if we remember.
If this doesn't happen, my next intro is going to be chastising our whole operation.
I do actually really want to. I've been positively encouraged by watching some of our older shorts. I forgot.
Exactly. So yeah, they're coming back.
We hope
1 or 2, and then they'll probably go away again. But
yeah. Well, if we can actually find a way of doing some low effort ones, I think then that would be.
if we really reduce the effort and reduce the quality right down to the bare minimum, then I think we can probably keep them going.
To be fair, I mean that one like you said, our highest viewed video is that fucking one about the printer, and that took me like literally 30 seconds, no editing whatsoever.
So if we can reduce our production cycle down to 30 seconds with no editing, then we'll persist. But we're going to do a high effort YouTube short is coming at some point.
Yeah.
Probably before this episode goes live. And in the meantime...
If you want more content from us, in the meantime, where can they find us, Kieran?
Well, they can find all of our 44 previous episodes on YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts.
It's even more than that, I think, is it? Is it more?
No, it'll be 44 at the time of this going live.
So this is episode 45.
This is 45.
Is it? Oh, wow.
Yeah, don't question me on this.
Wow. That's quite impressive, isn't it?
Wow, that's nowhere near where I thought we were.
that's quite impressive.
Yes, you can follow us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music. Wait, is that right? No, YouTube Podcasts.
Kieran, I wrote this out at the top of the document.
Yeah, I haven't got the topic stock open.
Right, fuck it out. You always insist on doing it yourself, and then you've not even got it up. Like, do you want me to do it? Shall I do it?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, okay. Go for it. Just mention Deezer.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Amazon Music, Audible, Deezer, YouTube, and YouTube Music. And if you want links to some of those places that Spotify for Podcasters lets us link, you can go to podcasters.spotify.com/pod/show/scrambled-checksum. And you can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/@scrambled-checksum.
Don't forget to comment, like, share, and please subscribe.
And tell your friends. Tell your friends, just like Elijah did. Elijah told Herbie about it. And now Herbie listens as well. I mean, I told Herbie about it ages ago, back when we first started doing it, but he forgot about that. And then Elijah told him about it, and now he's listening. So you never know. You might have told someone about it before, and then they forgot. So tell them again. Keep badgering them until they listen to a fucking episode. Tell them to listen to it right now.
We'll know if they don't.
Yeah, we will. We'll be very upset. And
personally very hurt.
I would say that we'd stop recording the podcast if our viewers don't increase, but that's clearly a lie because we've been doing it for over a year despite a woeful lack of success. So.
We'll stop recording YouTube shorts again.
Yeah, that's a fucking empty threat as well, isn't it?
Yeah, we're going to do that anyway.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, we'll see you in 2 weeks on Monday.
Yeah, we'll see you in our next podcast. Thank you very much for listening. Bye.
See you in 2 weeks. Bye.